Okay, good afternoon. Today's shiur is Refuah Shalema for the Yeled Yehuda Chaim ben Esther Sarah, Refuah Shalema. Havdil ben Chaim L'Chaim, Leiden Ishmas, Oshish ben Chaim ben Ephraim V'Tziona, William and Helen, Rachel bas Yosef, David ben Abraham, Fred ben Richard, Tzvi ben Chaim Pesach, Yitzchak ben Sarah, Devorah bas Yitzchak, Avram ben Mordechai David, Ruvain ben Shmuel, Shana bas Elchanan, Yeshua ben Shmuel, Chana Golda bas Yisrael, Chaim ben Fega, Yaakov ben Yitzchak, Mordechai Netzach ben Rivka, Rachel bas Yosef, Eliezer ben Yaakov, Chaim ben Gedalia, Zalman Leib ben Moshe, Chaim Eliyahu ben Yosef Moshe, and Leila Nishmatam. Today's shiur is the Exodus. You can't take it with you. So, Yehuda, do you mind giving out these papers? One to a customer. Thank you very much. Is there a way to take it with you? Jack Benny said, if I can't take it with me, I'm not going. But I think he went anyway, right? But perhaps there is a way, from the Exodus, perhaps we can learn that there is a way to take it with us. That's what you'll find out, right? Now it's Erev Pesach. Everybody does a lot of chumras. People do chumras and more chumras and the machmir. I myself am a big machmir. I tell my wife machmir a tea, machmir a coffee, machmir an omelet. So I myself am also a big machmir. But everybody's machmir nowadays, right? But let's take a look at our source sheets. Incredible pasuk that has to do with the Exodus. Look at pasuk Chav Hey. You see that? Where it's highlighted in yellow. Vayomer Moshe. Moshe is speaking to Pharaoh here in pasuk Chav Hey. Vayomer Moshe, Gam ata titen b'yadeinu zvachim va'olot v'sil Hashem lakeinu. Pharaoh wants to negotiate, right? With Moses, he says that only you can go, but the cattle have to stay behind. So Moshe Rabbeinu says, not only do we take our own cattle, but Gam Ata Titem B'Yadeinu, you also will take along what? You'll give us sacrifices. So the question is, we need Paro sacrifices. What do we need Paro sacrifices for? What's the point of Pasuk Chav Hey? You also will give what? Animals to sacrifice. What's the message over here? Well, there's a pasuk in Isaiah that when Mashiach comes, Ki beisi beis tefillah yikora l'chol ha'amim. God says, my house of prayer, I call all people. So all people, when Mashiach comes, when there was a Beis HaMikdash, all people, not just Jews, were invited to what? To worship God by bringing a korban. So this is the message. Gam ata titem b'yadeinu. You also have a chance to worship God. You can give up your avodah zarah, and you can also join us. You don't have to become Jewish, but keep the seven, go to heaven. In the Messianic era, we're going to accept korbanos from non-Jews as well. As Isaiah tells us, Ki beisi beis tefillah yikare l'chol ha'amim. God says, my house of prayer, I call out all people. But the point that I want to get to is Pasuk Chavav. And Moshe Rabbeinu tells Pharaoh's negotiating, right? I want the cattle to remain behind. This way I'm sure that you're not going to pull a fast one and don't come back, right? So Moshe Rabbeinu says we're taking everything with us. See Pasuk Chavav? V'gam mikneinu yelech imanu. All of our mikneh, all of our what? Acquisitions we're taking with us. Lo tishoya parsa, not even one hoof will remain. Kimenu nikach lavod Hashem lakeinu, because we need all the animals to worship Hashem our God. V'anachtu lo neida, and we don't know, Pasuk Chavav, ma navod es Hashem, what it takes to serve God ad b'einu shama. Strange Pasuk Chavav. We know the Torah is not a history book. Yechiel, I need to know what Pharaoh and Moses were talking about 3,329 years ago. They're negotiating over a cow. Beryl, very strange. Pasuk Chavav again. Moshe Rabbeinu saying to Pharaoh, "V'gam mikneinu yelech imanu." All of our acquisitions we're going to take along. Lo tishoya parsa, not even one hoof will remain. Kimenu nikach, because we need all of the animals lavod Hashem lakeinu in order to worship Hashem our God. V'anachtu lo neida. We don't know ma navod Hashem, what it takes to serve God until what? until we get over there. So the question is, why do we need to care, concerned with what Paro is talking about with Moshe Rabbeinu, their negotiation, the Torah's God's GPS for today? Why would I be interested in what Pharaoh and Moses are negotiating over a cow? Holy cow, very strange. Negotiating over a cow? What's the relevance? You hear the question? Now, so from this pasuk of Pi Kabbalah, fasten your seatbelt, pasuk Chavav. I think it's underlined in yellow, isn't it? Yeah. According to Kabbalah, this pasuk, there is a way to take it with you. Now, many people think that you can't take it with you, right? There's a famous story from Mr. Reichman, the millionaire from Canada. He left a will that when he dies, he wants to be buried with his Shabbos red socks. He used to have a famous pair of red socks that he wore only on Shabbat. And he was a religious man, and he left a will like that when I die, you have to bury me by Shabbos red socks. So the kids were in a dilemma, because according to halacha, you can't bury anybody with socks. You're only in the big day kahuna. A person is buried in the big day kahuna. You know that? No, I don't. Yeah. The hat, the white coat, the pants, the big day kahuna. You're not allowed to bury, just like a Kohen couldn't wear any socks. So a person after 120, you're not allowed to put him, only shrouds. You can't put him with socks. So there was a dilemma here, but he insisted. So they went to the Chevre Kadisha, and he said, listen, we don't care what your father said. He's a religious man. The halacha is you can't bury anybody. No matter his famous Shabbos socks, whatever, you can't. So after the funeral, he left a letter to be opened only after they bury him.
Without the socks.
He left a letter. They buried him without the socks because halacha says you can't. So he insisted. He left a sealed letter. He knew he was dying, only to be opened when? After the funeral. So after the funeral, they come up to sit Shiva, they open up the sealed envelope. What's in there? See, Kindalach, with all of my millions, I couldn't even take my red socks with me.
Oh, that's cute. That's cute.
What all my millions? Even my favorite Shabbos red socks I couldn't take along. Okay? Mm-hmm. So, but perhaps the Pele Yoetz says something incredible. One of the great Kabbalists says that perhaps there is a way to take it with you, even though shrouds have no pockets. Look at Pasuk Chavav very carefully, according to the way the Kabbalah, the Pele Yoetz studies this Pasuk. V'gam mikneinu yelech imanu. See Pasuk Chavav? Now the word mikne in Hebrew means what? Acquisitions. Right? Doesn't mean cows. Good thing you came today. See, Archkel says it means cattle. But anyone who knows Hebrew, the word mikneh means acquisitions. 3,000 years ago, what was the acquisitions? Cows. Today, it's stocks and bonds. But the word mikneh means to acquire property. Right? So the Pele Yoetz says something incredible. Now, no one goes to his grave regretting he didn't spend more time in the store. Anybody like that? Gee, I wish I would have spent more time in the store. So look at Pasuk Chavav very carefully, the way the Kabbalah Pele Yoetz learns this Pasuk and what it means for us. Okay? People spend hours and hours on their parnasa. Now, isn't it a shame that after we go, all those hours seem to be wasted? Right? All the hours in the office, working for a living. The only thing you take with you is your mitzvot. What about the hours that you spend on parnasa? That seems like it's wasted. Gone with the wind. But the Pele Yoetz says no. Look at Chavav carefully. V'gam mikneinu yelech imanu. There is a way where our mikneh can what? What does yelech imanu mean? Go along with us. Yiddish? How? You gotta know where to put the commas there. Pasuk Chavav. Lo tishaer. Listen to this. This is from Pele Yoetz. Lo tishaer. Even the mundane acts that we do, there is a way that even the non-mitzvah part of our lives we can take with us. in the spiritual sense. The Gamiknenu Yelech Imanu, he says, Lo Tishaer. First of all, person is busy, he can't study all day, he's Faharavit doing Parnasa and other things. Lo Tishaer, leave alone the low. Stay away from the negative commandments. Lo Tishaer, leave alone the low. Don't transgress the negative commandments. Then look at the word parsa, which literally means what does a parsa mean? A hoof. But the Pele Yoetz says that the word parsa is actually an acronym. Parus Hey. You ever buy sliced bread? It's called Lechem Parus. Now you know where the word comes from. You didn't know it has to do with a cow's foot, did you? Lechem Parus. The word parsa, says the Pele Yoetz, the Kabbalah, is an acronym Parus Hey. Slice up your busy day into 5 sections, time out. Used to be a movie called 5 Easy Pieces. Yeah. I'm dating myself. Parus, the word parsa is an acronym Parus Hey. You're busy with mergers and acquisitions, mergers and executions. You're busy, right? But split up Parus Hey, split up your busy day into 5 timeouts, which is not hard to do, because 3 times a day you have to daven anyway. 3 times a day you daven anyway. So learn a little bit in the morning, learn a little bit in the evening. So you have Parus Hey. You split up your busy day into 5 easy pieces. 3 tefillot, learn a little bit in the morning, a little bit in the evening. 5 times a day, time out, be involved with what? With Torah learning or davening. Now, ki mimenu nikach, listen to this. Ki mimenu nikach, from this we take along. Now you support your family, you have to earn a living. Even that you can take with you. You hear? You do chesed. Whatever you're doing in life, if you have in mind that what? All for the boss. Wow. Right? Yeah. Then, v'anachnu lo neda. We don't know. You look at the Pasuk Yudah. V'anachnu lo neda. We don't know. Ma navod et Hashem. We don't know what it takes to serve God. Who is more important? The guy who sits and learns all day? Or the guy that works for a living and slices up his day into 5? V'anachnu lo neda. Ma navod et Hashem. Ad boyenu shama. Until what? Until what?
Till we get there.
Over there, over there. You hear what the Pele Yoetz is saying? It's just an incredible idea. Guy who learns all day in a kollel, and a guy that works hard, and he davens when he can, learns a little bit. Who is more precious to God? We don't know. V'anachnu lo neda. Ma navod es Hashem ad bo'enu shama. You hear this pasuk? That's pretty amazing. Huh? Wow. So, the Mishnah says in Masechta Avot, Yofa Talmud Torah derech eretz. Yofa Talmud Torah derech eretz. That studying Torah is beautiful when it's combined what? With a livelihood. With a livelihood, right?
Yeah.
With a livelihood. So a person shouldn't feel bad and think, why couldn't I be a great Torah scholar? Why couldn't I spend all day in a kollel? No. Every person in their lives, whatever they do, if they do it honestly and take time out for 5 easy pieces, according to the Pele Yoetz, they can be just as great in Olam Haba as the biggest Rosh Hashiva. Wow. And therefore, the Mishnah says, "V'chol ma'asecha l'shem shamayim." The Mishnah says in Masechta Avot, whatever you do should be what? L'shem shamayim. Now, the Rambam and the Ramban wonder, why is the Torah filled with so many stories about the Avot? We know the Torah is not a storybook. It's not even a history book. The Torah, the word Torah means what? Teaching. So why does the Torah spend so many verses describing all the dealings of Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov? They acquired this, they acquired that. Why is that important? Says the Ramban, Maisa Avot Simin Labanim. Whenever the Torah tells me stories about the Avot, it's a sign of the way we have to behave.
Teach you to be honest.
What?
Honest in business.
That even the mundane work can become part of spirituality. Yiddish. So the Rambam says, the reason the Torah spends so many verses describing the business dealing of Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, why is that important? Because even when they were wheeling and dealing and involved in mergers and mergers and acquisitions, V'chol ma'asecha yil Hashem shemayim. Why were they interested in acquiring wealth? To show off to the Joneses or the Schwartzes? Because to be a Baal Chesed, you need a lot of assets. To invite people for Shabbos and give tzedakah, you need assets. So the reason that they were interested in acquiring all of this wealth, the Avos were, was what?
So they could give.
To give more tzedakah, to do more chesed. So even when they were involved in their mundane dealings, in the business affairs, says the Rambam, their goal was not to show off, but to be a Baal Chesed, you need a lot of assets. It's expensive to pay schar limit. You know what it costs, the schar limit? Each kid, $25,000. So, myself is similar banim. So even your mundane job that you're doing can become part of what? Ruchnius. And therefore, the Rambam says the Torah is occupied with writing so many verses of the business dealings of Rabbi, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Because even their mundane business affairs, what was the end game? The goal was more assets, more tzedakah, more chesed. So even the hour spent wheeling and dealing becomes what? Part of the mitzvah of chesed. That's right. That's pretty amazing, right? That's pretty amazing. What? Encouraging. That whatever we do is not wasted. Even the mundane affairs of life, preparing for a mitzvah becomes part of the mitzvah. Yeah. How do we know that? There's the Mishnah, the Gemara Brachot Yuma says, anyone who eats on Erev Yom Kippur, it's like he fasted 2 days. Why is that? Why is eating Erev Yom Kippur a mitzvah? Beautiful. Says the Meiri, what Chava just said. If you don't eat Erev Yom Kippur, you won't be able to fast properly. Your mind will not be on the tshuva, it'll be on what? On the macaroni and cheese. So in order to prepare for tshuva and fasting properly, the Torah says have a big meal. So the big meal is a preparation for the mitzvah of fasting on Yom Kippur. So the Meiri says, you see, that preparation for a mitzvah becomes part of the mitzvah. So therefore, the manja on Erev Yom Kippur becomes part of the mitzvah of fasting on Yom Kippur. Because if you didn't eat properly Erev Yom Kippur, there's no way that you can what? Fast properly. So the point the Meiri is making is that preparing for a mitzvah becomes part of the mitzvah. So if a person is acquiring all of his assets, he's working hard, right, to acquire more assets. If he's doing it to show off, then he's just wasting his time. But if he's doing it to have more opportunity to do more chesed, then those hours that he's spending mergering, of selling, that itself becomes what? Part of the mitzvah. That's pretty amazing. So therefore, eating an Erev Yom Kippur, the Gemara said like you fast 2 days. Because you're involved with the fasting. Because if you didn't eat properly before Yom Kippur, there's no way you can fast properly. So the same idea, says the Pele Yoetz, is work. A person's working hard, l'shem shemayim. V'chol ma'asech yil shem shemayim. The Mishnah says in Ovot chapter 2, whatever you do in life, no matter how mundane it is, you can bring it on home, l'shem shemayim. A person can clean his toilets on Friday and do sponja, and barrel, that becomes a mitzvah. You know what I said? After 120, God will say, listen, you cleaned so many toilets on Friday? Mitzvah. I said, what kind of mitzvah? I clean my toilets. But if you're cleaning your toilets on Friday, l'kovet Shabbos. So the act of making sponja becomes what? A mitzvah. And the shopping that you do on Friday becomes a mitzvah. Every mundane act that a person does can be what? Elevated and brought home. This is the idea over here on our pasuk. Whatever we do, there's a way that we can what? We can take it along. It depends what your end game is, what your goal is. What a powerful message, right? You're acquiring assets to show off, then you're wasting your time. But if you're acquiring assets to do more chesed, it's expensive to invite a lot of guests for Shabbos, right? So if the Avot needed a lot of assets, their tents were open, and they invited so many guests, a lot of chesed, they needed a lot of what? Mikneh. So even their dealings with acquiring their assets for the Avot became what? A mitzvah itself. There's an amazing pasuk in Shemot Lamed Daled. Now the Torah mentions Shabbat dozens of times. It never mentions Shabbat alone. It's always prefaced, Sheishes Yomim Ta'avod, Ubayom Shvi Tishbot. So the Mechilta asked the question, how come it never says observed Shabbos alone? It's always, what's the word, prefaced or prefaced? Prefaced with what? Sheishes Yomim Ta'avod, Ubayom Shvi Tishbot. Never once does it say observe the Shabbos. It always says before that, Sheishes Yomim Ta'avod. And you shall work 6 days, and on the 7th day it's what? Rest. Says the Mechilta. I think the Mechilta was Haredi. Who wrote the Mechilta? Rabbi Kiva's Talmidim. So why is Shabbos never written alone? It's always Sheishes Yomim Ta'avod. Says the Mechilta, Kamo sheyesh mitzvah lishbot b'Shabbat, gam yesh mitzvah lavot b'chol. You hear? Just like there's a mitzvah to observe Shabbat, there's also a mitzvah to what? To work during the 6 days. And therefore Shabbos is always prefaced with what? Sheishes Yomim Ta'avod ain't going to work on Saturday, but 6 days before Yechiel is a mitzvah to work. It's a mitzvah to work if you're working to support your family and you're working to do chesed. It's expensive to do chesed. So then even the work days becomes part of the mitzvah of what? Of observing Shabbos. So says the Mechilta. That's pretty amazing. That's pretty amazing, don't you think?
Yeah.
Wow. So just as a mitzvah to work on a rest on Shabbos, there's a mitzvah to work. There's a mitzvah to what? Work during the day. And therefore, the Talmud in Shabbos says there are 4 questions or 3 questions. When a person dies, the trial begins with 3 questions. What? State your name. Oh, that's before that even. Like in an area code, state your name. Right? Very interesting. State your name. At the end of Shmon Esrei, we say a pasuk in Tanakh with our initials, so that on the day of death we don't forget my name. What does that mean, right? You didn't know that? You say at the end of Shmon Esrei, you're supposed to say a verse that has your Hebrew name initials. So according to the Shloach Kodesh, that is a segula that you won't forget your name on the day of death. Just like a human trial opens up, the judge says, state your name. So in Olam Haba, after 120, God will say, state your name. Doesn't God know my name? And what is that? If you say the verses that have your initials in it, you won't forget your name. What is it?
You'll be so nervous.
The Ramban, you'll be nervous, right? But the Ramban says that a person's tafkid is contained in his name. So the Orach Chaim says when parents name a child, it's subconscious Ruach HaKodesh. Therefore, women name the children. Throughout Tanakh, it's the women who name the children because women have a bina yetera. They're more in touch with their neshama. So they look at the child, they can identify the mission which is contained in the name. So when God asks us our name, what's he actually asking?
What's our topic?
Did you fulfill your mission contained what? In your name. So who could say yes? So what are you going to say? Your name is not a title. Doctor, lawyer, butcher, baker, candlestick maker. Your name in Hebrew is your identity. Who are you? Without the titles. So God will ask you my name, or everyone's name. Did you fulfill your mission in life? So what can I say? God, I don't know. But you want to know who I am? I'm a pasuk in your Torah. I'm a pasuk in your Torah. That's who I am. You want to know who I am? Everybody sins. But you're asking for my identity. I'm a verse in your Torah. If God hears that, I'm a verse in your Torah, then hopefully go easy on us. So that's the idea. So after God says your name, there are three questions that are going to be asked. One question is, Nasata be'amunah. Did you deal faithfully in your business dealings? Nasata be'amunah. That's one of the three questions. Were you faithful in your business dealings? So what is God really asking me? Not just if you didn't swindle in business. Why were you dealing in business? What was the purpose? To show off? To go on a cruise? Or to acquire assets to do more chesed? Nasata be'amunah. Nasata be'amunah. Were all your business dealings done with emunah? Meaning that even those hours that you spent on the phone or in the store, do you have faith that you can take those hours with you? How can you take those hours with you? If the end game, the goal was to what? All for the boss. Even if you're working for yourself, but if the end game is to do more chesed, then even all those hours that you spent in the business, you did it b'amunah. This pasuk chavav, the gam mikneinu yelech imonu. We can't take it with us. All those hours spent on working hard are not wasted. If the end game was all for the boss, the more assets, the more chesed, then even those hours spent at the office or in the store, and after Olam Haba, God will give us credit for that. Even though we didn't do any mitzvot, we didn't steal, we didn't swindle our customers, and we were working hard to support our families and to do chesed and tzedakah, then all of those hours you can't take with you. That's pretty amazing. That's the first question, Asata be'emunah. And what's the other question? Sipita liyeshua. Did you anticipate what? Mashiach? Sipita liyeshua. And osakta bepirya v'rivya. Feel very strange. Did you make love to your wife?
There were three questions.
Tractate Shabbos, page 31. That's how the trial begins. Were you honest in business? Were you working for the boss? Right? Did you anticipate the Mashiach? Asakta b'pirya v'rivya. Now it doesn't say kayamta pirya v'rivya. Did you, how do you say b'kayem? Did you do the mitzvah of having babies? It's osakta b'pirya v'rivya. Were you busy trying to make babies? So the Maharsha says, why doesn't God ask you, did you do the mitzvah of making babies? Because that's not up to you. All you can do is what? Try. So God can't ask you, did you perform the mitzvah of having babies? He can't ask you that, because that's not up to you. It's up to Him. But what can He ask you, says the Maharsha? Asakta b'pirya v'rivya. Were you occupied in trying to have children?
Dirty job.
Asakta b'pirya v'rivya. Wow. It's incredible that Tosfot in Chagiga Daf Bet, you can look it up, Tosfot in Chagiga Daf Bet says that every time a person has intimate relations with his wife, even though it does not result in the birth of a child, still gets credit for pruvu. Chagiga Daf Bet, Tosfot, side B. That every time a person has intimacy with his wife, even though it does not result in a pregnancy, still gets credit for what? For trying. That's pretty amazing. Why? Now, on Chalamot, we read Pashas Emor, we read of all of the Chagim and all the Karbonos that are brought. Chalamot, Pesach, we're going to read that. The Chagim and all the Karbonot. It's very strange at Pashas Emor. Rashi says it's very strange. In the middle of all of the Chagim and all of the Karbonot, the Torah interrupts. It tells you certain Chagim, time out. Then it tells you the mitzvah of Leket Shikcham Peah. And then it goes back to the Chagim. Very strange. We know Psukim in the Torah Yechiel have to be connected. So Pashas Emor, you listen to Chalamot reading, you'll hear. Torah starts with the Chagim, time out. From left field, the Torah says, Farmer Goldberg, don't forget to bring your Leket Shikcham Peah. What is Leket? The English word collecting. Right? When the farmer harvests his field, the gleanings they can't pick up, have to leave for the poor person. Shikha, forgotten bundle of grain, he has to leave there. And Peah, you have to leave the corner of the field. And then the Torah goes back to the Chagim. Very strange, Beryl. From left field, you're talking about all the Chagim and all the Karbonot. Ibe gehakten mitten. How do you say that in English? Ibe gehakten mitten with the Parsha. Oh, by the way, Farmer Schwartz, don't forget when you harvest your field, the leket, shikcham peah. What was Ruth gleaning? Ruth, the book of Ruth. The gleanings, the leket, right? The stalks that fall from the sickle, the farmer has to leave for the poor person. And a forgotten bundle, he can't go back and get it, and he has to leave the peah, the corners of the field. In the middle of the Chagim, the Torah sticks in that and goes back to the Chagim with the Karbonot. What's the message, says Rashi? What's the message? Says Rashi, something incredible. The farmer is reading all the Karbonot that the Kohanim in their magnificent uniforms bring on the Beis HaMikdash, the Chagim, magnificent robes the Kohanim wear. They're serving Kodesh Baruch Hu in the Beis HaMikdash. I'm just a poor dirt farmer. How come I couldn't be born a Kohen? You know the story? A guy went to a Reform rabbi. He says, here, Reform rabbi, here's $10,000, make me a Kohen. So the rabbi said, why is it so important to make you a Kohen? He said, I'll tell you, Rabbi, my father was a Kohen, my grandfather was a Kohen, you got to make me a Kohen. Right? If your father ain't a Kohen, you can't be a Kohen. So the farmer Goldberg might say, how come I wasn't born a big kahuna? I had to be born a dirt farmer somewhere in the middle of nowhere in Beersheba, harvesting my crops. And these Kohanim, dressed in their beautiful, magnificent robes, are offering all of these Karbonot on the Chagim to what? To a Kodesh Baruch Hu. What am I, chopped liver? Where do I fit in? Why couldn't I be born a big Kohana? I had to be born a poor farmer? So Rashi quotes the Midrash something incredible. The reason why the Torah sticks in the middle, the Parsha of the agricultural mitzvahs, in the middle of all of the Kohanim bringing their Kabbanot, Shekol hanotein leket shikha peilani, anyone who works hard and gives his matnas aniyim, he leaves the gleanings of the field, he leaves the forgotten bundle and the corners of the field, la'ani. He works hard and he gives proper tzedakah. Ki'ilu bona beit hamikdash hikrev kabbanasad. Yiddish. A poor farmer, if he works hard and he leaves his leket shikcham peah, English it's called gleanings, a forgotten bundle, the corners of the field, he leaves the gifts that he has to leave for the poor people. In God's eyes, he's just as chashuv as what? The big kahuna offering all of these karbanot on the chagim. You hear this? The simple farmer. I wasn't born a Kohen. Why wasn't I born a Rosh Yeshiva?
You have to be.
You don't have to be. Every person, whatever he does in life, no one can do it my way. Whatever you do in life, you do it honestly, and you take 5 timeouts. Porus hey. 5 timeouts with spiritual matters. In God's eyes, whatever you do, Gam mikneinu yelech imanu, you can't take it with you. A simple farmer, in God's eyes, can attain the status of the Kohen Gadol. So says Rashi in Parshas Emor, Leviticus 23. This idea goes so far that Aryeh Levin, on his street, he had a Jewish garbage collector. Used to collect the garbage. Today, a lot of Arabs do it, but years ago, the Jews did it. So Aryeh Levin, the great tzaddik, says, I envy you, Rabbi Yid. He says, Rabbi, you envy me. I'm just a poor tailor. I'm a poor garbage collector. You're the biggest rabbi in the world. He says, I envy you. What would Moshe Rabbeinu give to be in your shoes? Moshe Rabbeinu could not merit to clean the streets of Pisgat Zev. And you, Rechavia, where he lived in Rechavia, lived in Nachlot. You have a merit that Moshe Rabbeinu doesn't have, to clean the streets of Jerusalem. God's living room, you have a schus to clean it. I envy you, said of Aryeh Levin to this Jewish garbage collector. What would Moshe Rabbeinu give to be in your shoes, to be able to sweep the streets of Jerusalem? And he couldn't come here. Wow. Right? So whatever, even a garbage collector, if he's honest and he breaks up his busy day into 5, can attain the status of Aryeh Levin. Rabbi Levin said that about himself. Right? Whatever you do, no one should be jealous. Whatever a person does is what? Can be elevated to spirituality. So even though those hours that you thought you wasted in the store, or on the phone with mergers and acquisitions, you could take that with you. Just amazing. In Parshas Pinchas, the Torah says there are 3 types of animals that are brought on the Beis Hamikdash. A ram, the cow family, and what? Sheep and goats. Right? No birds, except the pigeon, but no deers and no antelopes, even though they're kosher. Why dafka these 3 species? Rams, cows, goats, and sheep. So Rashi says, you know why we bring rams? Why? The Akedat Yitzchak. Yitzchak was willing to be a sacrifice to God, and in the end, God stopped him, and God told Abraham to bring what? A ram. So to capture the Mesirat Nefesh of the Akedah, so God says you bring a ram on the Mizbeach. The Mesirat Nefesh, Abraham Yitzchak were willing to die for Hashem. And a ram was brought instead of Yitzchak on the Akedah. So to capture that magic moment, therefore God says bring what? The Mesirat Nefesh of the Akedah, bring a ram. Why do you bring the cow family? Well, Avraham was sick and old the 3rd day after the Milah. He ran to the barn to shecht 3 calves to give what? Tongue and rye and mustard to the Malachim. So to capture that, Mesiras Nefesh, Avram Avinu, old and sick after the Milah, running to the barn to slaughter the calves. Eze Mesirat Nefesh, how do you say that in English? Mesirat Nefesh.
Personal sacrifice.
Thank you. So to capture that, we bring what? The cow family. Why do you bring sheep and goats? So Rashi says something strange, because Yaakov Avinu was a wheeler dealer with a lot of sheep and goats. Yaakov Avinu had a lot of sheep and goats. So therefore we bring what? Sheep and goats. You understand that? I just don't get it. I understand why you bring a ram to capture the Mesiras Nefesh, like Kedat Yitzchak, the ram instead of Isaac. I understand the cow family, why you bring the cows and bulls. to capture Mesiras Nefesh. Avram Avinu, the third day after Milah, personally ran to the barn to shech the calves. But what's so big about Yaakov Avinu, just because he was a wheeler-dealer with sheep and goats, that too deserves a korban on the Beis HaMikdash? Somehow it doesn't seem to stack up to the Mesiras Nefesh of what? Of Avram Yitzchak. Why does that also deserve a korban? Yaakov had a lot of sheep and cattle. He was a wheeler-dealer. So what kind of Mesiras Nefesh is that too deserves a korban on the Beis HaMikdash? Oh, says the Rabbi Palm Zatzal. Now he said this before Beidorf. He said, who was Yaakov dealing with? With the Bernie Madoffs. I mean, the Lavans. The Bernie Madoffs, right? He was surrounded by swindlers, Lavan, the Madoffs, who were always cutting corners. You're in business with swindlers. The temptation is so great. If everybody's doing it, why should I be a sucker? So Rav Pam Zatzal said that what Rashi means is Yaakov was surrounded by swindlers, the Lavans, who were swindling. And to remain honest in business, despite dealing with what? With shady characters, that's a Mesiras Nefesh on the level of what? Of Akedat Yitzchak. Palm Zatzal said that. Wow.
His test. Avram had a test with his son, but
Yaakov had a test in business.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody's cheating on their taxes. Why should I be a sucker? But you resist that and you're honest. In the Torah's eyes, that's considered a sacrifice on the level of Akedat Yitzchak, and that also deserves what? A korban on the Mizbeach. That's an amazing idea. That's an amazing idea. You look in Pashas Pinchas with all the korbanot. Yashi says, we bring sheep and goats because Yaakov was a wheeler-dealer with sheep and goats. Gee whiz. That deserves a korban on the Mizbeach. Yes, who was he dealing with? Who was he dealing with? The swindlers. And to remain honest, what am I, a friar? How do you say that in English? A sucker? Great temptation. But he resisted it. That's considered a test, like Akedat Yitzchak, and that also deserves what? What? A korban. Therefore, you don't bring any antelopes or deers. They didn't deal with antelopes and deers, even though they're kosher. But those three species. Those three species. Now, you ever wonder why God told us to shecht and roast a lamb? You know, turkey has less cholesterol, Beryl, right? The Rambam in Moreh Nevuchim, the Rambam was a doctor. He asked the question, why not roast a turkey? You cut the turkey without me? Who said that? Has less cholesterol. Why dafka a lamb? So what? If you look in Ezekiel, the Jewish people worship the lamb as well. No. Now in India today, holy cow, right? If you slaughter a cow in India, they kill you. Holy cow. So the Yecheskel says not just the Mitzrim were worshiping the Teleh, the zodiac of the sheep, but the Jewish people were also worshiping it.
In Egypt?
In Egypt. Good thing you came today. Look in Yecheskel. The Rambam Moreh Nevuchim says, you look in the book of Yecheskel, the Jewish people also worshiping the Lamb.
Did the Malachim and Christians
what?
Did the Malachim want Hashem to destroy the Jewish people?
That's right. The Jews were guilty of worshiping idols. If a Jew does it, it's worse than Goyim doing it. So the Rambam says, the same reason why God said, build a golden Mishkan. Does God need a golden Mishkan? With golden lovebirds, golden figures in the Holy of Holies? No. So the Medrash says, Yovai Zov Shebe Mishkan, Yechapra Zov Shenasa Ba'egel. Right? Plan A was the entire world should be God's Mishkan. But we made a golden statue. So God says, you like gold so much? Take gold and do it my way. Da-da-da-da. You like golden statues? now make golden lovebirds in the Holy of Holies. God didn't need it, we needed it. We couldn't focus on, abstract God. We needed something tangible. We built a golden Getchka. So therefore, the Rambam Moreh Nevuchim says that you see in Yahadut, the tikkun comes from the chet itself. We sinned with gold, made a golden statue. Now take gold and make golden lovebirds. In the Holy of Holies, an old golden tabernacle and the golden ark. Do it my way. Says the Rambam, therefore God didn't say roast a turkey, even though turkey has less cholesterol. Since we sinned with the lamb, then yamin. We sinned with the lamb, so therefore now God says what? Take the object of your sin and do it my way.
Good.
That's credible. Yahadut, the way you mess up is the way you repair the damage. So if we would have worshipped the turkey in Mitzrayim, we would have had roast turkey. Right? But since we worship the lamb, now the object of our sin becomes the object of what? Our tikkun and kapara. And therefore God says what? Take a lamb. Right?
Yes.
The Avodah Zarah itself becomes transformed and elevated to a mitzvah. That's pretty amazing.
Great.
The sin itself, the way you sin, is the way you repair the damage. Golden Mishkan, you take a lamb, the Korban Pesach. Who invented the wrap? The wrap? Hillel. Right? Hillel invented the wrap, right? You look in the Mishnah Psachim, he used to take a soft laffa, not the way the matzahs we are, the Sephardi matzahs, soft laffa. He would take shawarma. He would take what? Romaine lettuce and chrein and roll it up. That's the way you would eat it, right? You can't do that with Ashkenazi matzahs. It would crumble. So you see, Hillel HaZaken was a Sephardi. Because you cannot make a laffa from the Ashkenazi matzah. It crumbles, right? It crumbles, right? Right. You see, it was soft matzahs. Otherwise, you can't roll it the way the Sephardim have it, right? Hillel was a Sephardi. You see that, right? So anyway, why does the Torah give so much credit to Paroi? Beryl, Paroi is the star of the Torah. Did you know that? There's a Paroi by Abraham's time. There's a Paro in Yosef's time. There's a Paro in Moshe Rabbeinu's time. Paro seems to be a star of the Torah. Why does the Torah give so much ink? Is that the right word? Ink? Play to this Russia Marusha. Think of it. The Torah is so parsimonious when it comes to words. So much airtime, so much ink, Paroi in Abraham's time. And Paroi in what? Yosef's time. Yeah. And Paroi, remember Yul Brenner? There was Paroi, Moshe Rabbeinu. What's the point, Abraham? We have to learn from Paroi how to be stubborn. The power of tenacity. Is that the right word? Look how stubborn and tenacious Paroi was. One makkah after the other makkah. He's being destroyed, his country's being destroyed, but he wouldn't give in. So we have to learn to be stubborn for Hashem. Isn't that incredible? Kimenu nikach. You look at the Pasuk Chavav again. Kimenu nikach. Look at Pasuk Chavav again. V'gam yelech imanu lo tishoa parsa. Kimenu nikach. From him we will take. Who's the him? See, Pasuk Chavav Yehuda. Gimimenu nikach. From him we will take. Who's him? Pharaoh. How to worship Hashem our God. From Pharaoh's stubbornness and what's the word? Tenaciousness? Tenacity. We'll learn how to serve Hashem, not to cave in. See, Pasuk Chavav Avram, Kimimenu nikach. From him we will take. Ech lavoid as Hashem Elokeinu. Not to give in. To be stubborn and tenacious when it comes to what? Serving Hashem. Who's the role model? Pharaoh, but he's with the Sita Achra. So we got to use that for Toiv. He's doing it for Ra. We got to deputize it. Is that the right word? Deputize it? And bring it on home. Ki mimenu nikach.
Everybody's useful for something, even as a bad example.
Right? To know what? To know how to serve Hashem. Wow. How stubborn he was. His whole country's being destroyed. But no, he wouldn't give in. He wouldn't give in. It says, Paroi, in Parshas Miketz, Paroi had a dream, Omed alayor. He was standing on the Nile. Was he in denial?
No, he was in denial.
He was in denial, total in denial, but he was standing on the Nile. Very strange. How could you stand on the Nile? Look in Parshas Miketz. Paroi omed alayor. They read the English, it says standing near the Nile, but the Hebrew says what? Standing on the Nile. Was he walking on water? How can you stand on the Nile? He was in the Nile, but he was standing on the Nile. Says the Medrash. Paroi was the ultimate pagan.
He was.
They worshipped the Nile River. A pagan, Omed alayor, he stands above his God. The pagan invented their gods to be what? To be stepped on. Omed alayor. Pharaoh was standing on his getchka. The Jewish people just the opposite. Yaakov had a dream. V'hine Hashem nitzav olav. Paganism, my getchkas work for me. I'm standing on them. They're here to do my bidding. But Yahadut, Yaakov had a dream. Hashem what? Nitzav olav. God is not here to serve me. I'm here to serve him. That's the exact opposite of paganism. The pagans stand on their God. Their gods are there to serve them. Yehadut, we are there to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But we have to learn from Paro how he served his getchkis with such stubborn loyalty. That's how we have to serve what? HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Wow. Pretty interesting. Thursday we have a class. Anybody that wants to come, you get extra brownie points. On Thursday, we'll give you highlights of the Haggadah. Thank you very much.